Hashtag blessed life, best life, no filter, flawless fun. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, while we talk about 12-Foot Ninja's Vengeance, and that's how I'm going to describe it right off the bat. But first, introduction must be made for the gentlemen who are always with me in this wonderful journey of life in metal. We got the Bludgeoned by Bellhops Gabe Cooper, the Dr. David Pizzo, and the Reverend Ben Lindsay. How y'all doing tonight, gentlemen?
I'm ready for vengeance.
This is how Hall Oats would sound in space. I'm ready to do this. I liked the last album a lot, so I was excited when you put this on the schedule.
I'm glad you were excited.
Well, excited was not a word that I would have used to describe my feelings going into this album. And
not how you describe them going out of the album either, probably.
That is also true, but you can't be excited going out of an album. So, but like I said, if you listen to the end of our last review, this album cover, if you happen to be watching on the YouTube, or if you see the thumbnail on wherever you listen to the audio version, this album cover sums up this album beautifully.
It does. Now, I will admit, I did have this in originally as my pick for October, but there's an album coming out on the 29th that kicked it out, and so I put it in the next available slot and made it just my normal pick for the month. And we got it. So this album, we're recording this a week after release. Yeah, because it came out the 22nd.
Yes.
It is their third studio album. It is on Volcanic Records. Runtime of 34 minutes and 17 seconds. You have Nick Kinetic Barker on lead vocals, Steve McKay lead guitar, Rohan Hayes on rhythm guitar, Shane Russell on drums, and you have Tatiana Shemaluk on making a guest vocal appearance on Over and Out.
They almost get shorter and shorter. The first one was 45. Outlier was 38. This one's 34. So that's something that's nice for you, Ben, right? Like the visit to the dentist gets quicker and quicker.
I can't hate on this album length. No, this is almost Rain and Blood. Perfect.
Yeah, 34 minutes.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I do not know this band nearly as long as Tracy does. I'm sure he's going to tell us about our journey. But after reviewing Outlier, that was in the winter, right? I feel like that was last winter.
In February.
Yeah, I remember it was very cold when I was listening to that. I was walking in like ice and shit, listening to it.
I can.
So anyway, I listened to it some sense, but this week I just like brought it back, and since the 3 albums we did were pretty short, listened to it a ton again. So I listened to the second and third albums together over and over and over this week, and it was a good ride. I dig this band a lot for reasons we'll get into. More than Ben, it would seem, but that's okay.
I will say I think the transition from Outlier to this is much closer than it was from Silent Machine to Outlier.
Agreed. Yeah, I think I now appreciate Silent Machine a little more too. I listened to that some this week also, but I still think it is the, if pun intended, outlier of the 3 of these albums. I think these last 2 sound more similar than either does to that. There are moments on that, like Deluge, straight up outlier, but we're not reviewing either of those albums. We're reviewing this one. So
this is my first foray into 12-Foot Ninja, and I have to say I did not know what to expect, and I did.
You still don't know what to expect?
I was sort of taken aback. I just had no idea that this was what was going to happen. I mean, I got to give it to them. Look, they don't have the longest tracks, and they're trying to be entertaining. I feel like entertainment is really a high priority for this band.
I do too.
They want to be funny.
They want to be funny. They want to be a party, kind of a party band. Even if you wanted to say, okay, these people are serious musicians, which they can play their instruments. They want to be a fun time. And I think that probably governs a lot of decisions for them about songwriting. What will be groovy and what can people actually dance to.
I would agree with that, because to me, the closest analog that I can think of. I know David has one in mind because of the sound, but the vibe to me is very early Van Halen, like before
Oh,
it
I
became
think that's
Van
true.
Hagar. So it's like just dudes who are perhaps not a virtuoso on the level of Eddie Van Halen, but are very good musicians who just hang out and are making music that they think is cool and is fun and that you drink beer and party to,
I could see that.
or whatever.
Or they probably drink beer and make music, and this is probably what happens.
Yeah, to me, you know, I've said this before. They're sort of Australian Seven Dust No More, like because they really have very strong Seven Dust vibes in terms of when they really hit that. I would say early new metal, like early Corn kind of groove. But there's definitely a ton of Faith No More in here, like a whole fucking lot. Even on this one, I think there was more on Outlier. And I would say more Faith No More than Mr. Bungle. But all that being said, I agree with you that they are, in some ways, a party band. But I think especially on Outlier and to some degree on this too, there's an undercurrent of darkness in these tracks that I think is belied by the tone, and I assume that's on purpose. And when we talk about songs, we can get into some of that.
Yeah, and they sat on this album for a little bit too, because people were asking when they were release it, and they're like, we can't cure to support it. And so I don't know if some of that darkness was written during the dark times that have been the past 18 months.
I think Outlier is even darker. Outliers got some really dark shit on it, actually, emotionally, and it's it's 16. So I think Australia has no shortage of its own bullshit. In this album, there's the track about culture war on here. There's the Pretend Elon Musk track, which is definitely what I think is going on in that song. We can get to it in a second, but
You have the almost Bo Burnham Instagram, white girl Instagram page or track on here as well.
Yeah. They're shrewd observers of the world, even if they are partying while they're talking to us about it. I am not in any way disputing the attempt at fun, but I'm here for it. So I like that about them. It reminds me a bit less, maybe Ben, this is where my head is at. It reminds me a bit less of Epic or Angel Dust and more of King for a Day, which had some of this kind of like, I don't know, like mariachi suddenly happening or whatever. Some of that era had some of that
without the sharp edge that was in King for a Day, because there is very little. I mean, even like on the album that we reviewed of theirs last time, which the name escapes me currently.
Outlier.
Thank you, Outlier. That had a core of just uncompromising, stomp you in the face metal.
It did.
That this album sorely is lacking.
You don't think? Well, we'll get to it when we talk about songs. I think there's a bit of that towards the end, but you're right. It's not to the same degree as Outlier. Sorry, you were going to say something, either Gabe or Tracy.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that when I hear a rock band who's doing this kind of thing, my associations were not with like 80s necessarily, but actually with more 90s and 2000s bands. Like Daft Punk definitely had rock moments on their records, and I also thought of Tame Impala, who that dude gets quite groovy on occasion, even though it's sort of like a psych kind of psych rock sort of band.
More Australia.
More Australia.
Just more Australia.
So is it an Australia thing? I don't know, but I guess there wasn't so much rock on this record. I didn't find it was a lot of pop.
I love the subtle way that Gabe called us ode, but
no. I mean, I just never listened to Hall Oats in the 80s, like, because I just didn't know them. But that's just I mean, I guess that's just a way of putting myself in an age category rather than you guys.
I want to say, in defense of their rockiness, I think on both these albums, for this one and Outlier, there are a few bands I know that can end a song as heavy as they end them. And they do it a lot, like where they just, like IDK, the end of that song is just bone crushing. So I would argue they're better at ending songs than starting them. Because starting them, sometimes you don't know where it's going and it takes a little bit to resolve, but by the end of these, that's usually where they just, Seven Dust riff you into the pavement. Which
what you mean you didn't like the 8-bit intro on IDK?
I don't mind it. I just
that was my favorite part. I'm a child of the 80s, guys.
I am too.
I,
Anyway, yeah. Go ahead.
I
Ben, I'm sorry.
disagree, but that's okay. No, I mean, I don't find this heavy in the least. I mean, whatever.
Interesting.
Just a
I think
difference of
it's-
opinion, man.
It's got its genty moments, just like the Outlier did
Yes.
in there.
It does. Outlier had more of them, but it has some.
Yeah. Well, I think also Outlier, that last track on it ends with such heaviness on it too that it,
Mhm.
I think, kind of tints the view of it when you come out of the album.
I would grade that album higher now, obviously, than I did
Yeah.
then. So partially because I'm probably going to give this one a slightly higher grade than I gave that, but I think that album is better than this one.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Gabe. We all did it a little bit, boxing ourselves in with our grade for America Must Be Destroyed. We're like, shit. When we did later albums. Anyway.
Then you just say, screw it. I guess I'm not going to be consistent and just like, I'm grading them now because I have better knowledge.
Well, I mean, I would put a different grade on Outlier now.
Yeah.
I listened to it a bunch, and it made me appreciate this album more. Certainly more than Ben does, and that's okay.
I feel very confident in my grade of Outlier and where this one will fall to.
I believe you. I guess this is where I don't know. It's Tracy and I think have a bit of a softer spot. You like some genre bending stuff, but Tracy and I tend to get a little bit more into that. I think you listen to even more genres than we do, Ben. But Tracy and I won ours like at the same buffet, like we went it in the same meal. I don't.
I don't know.
I mean,
feel
I'm
like
not
kinda...
mad that they did this like retro 80s thing. I'm just mad that they did it so poorly.
Amazing.
Well, I mean, I think I kind of hit your limit with colors too, there, though, David.
With which one?
Between the Buried and Me.
Oh yeah, but that's Raleigh. I can't blame that on Australia. That's my own quasi hometown. Yeah, I think this is better than that by a lot. I don't care what you think, Tracy. I'm saying I think this is better than that by a lot. That's just my opinion, man.
Tracy, you picked this, and we all know that you are, as we like to say here, in the bag for this band. But give us your thoughts.
So I had a very similar experience with this album as I did with Outlier, in that I came and he listened to it like the first time I heard it, I was like, okay. Like I knew what to expect from him because I had experience previously with him. But just here, like it's always like that first run through, you're kind of like, what the fuck just happened? And then you hit the second and third, you're like, okay, this song's now stuck in my fucking head.
Indeed.
And then by the fourth or fifth, you're like, I love this album. And that's where I'm sitting at the moment.
Me too.
So
Stockholm Syndrome drink.
it is. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoy this album. I mean, I don't know if I'm quite in the bag of them. They could shit on an album, like literally just make them farting and sell it, and I'd buy it or listen to it. But I'm at least in for the probably 4 albums of just garbage from a car, and I'm done with these guys. In which I'd probably say they're one of my favorite bands now. Like it's easy to put them all time. I do enjoy the genre hoppingness of it. As you can see, other albums I've picked and had us listen to, I enjoy the insanity genre hoppingness that comes from albums. I don't know. It's weird if I have to listen to an album of 80s music, I probably want to pull my hair out by track 5. But here, it's like, okay, cool. Because there's other stuff along on that buffet.
But Lieutenant Dan, you ain't got no legs.
Ain't got no legs. Australia does that neo new wave shit better than anyone. Like there's that massive genre. I try to introduce Tracy to some of, like Presets or Midnight Juggernauts. So they're in very good company in Sydney and Melbourne, both in terms of just the 80s living on for all
Except
time.
they do it well. But anyway,
Ben likes this album, everyone.
I know, I'm getting a feeling from him. I'm expecting high grades from Ben the way he's talking about it.
Me too.
yeah, it's gonna be
It's gonna be great.
a great.
Yeah. So well, let's just go ahead and hop into tracks here so we can get there. But I do have I want to say a note from a review I found while looking at for information for it on the band about the track Gone. Have you ever wondered what Smooth by Carl Santana and Rob Thomas would sound like if it was new metal? Nope. No one has. But this is the question that need answering that Australia's 12-Foot Ninja have produced with the song Dawn.
Amazing.
And since I inflicted this on us, I will go first and say I like all the tracks. But
I don't like them all.
I like them all. I think it starts really strong with Start the Fire, Long Way Home. Shock to the System is stuck in my head constantly the past 24 hours. Over and Out with Tatiana is great. I mean, yeah, I really like all the tracks on the song.
I'm just going to come in behind Tracy to say the same things before we get to Ben setting it alight by the ball hairs. I think this opener on this is stronger actually than Outlier. I think Start the Fire is a badass track. Long Way Home's okay. Vengeance is neat and a reminder to me of how much dumb shit Australia has done alongside America. They've been in every horrifying counterinsurgency operation in the second half of the 20th century. They were in Vietnam, they were in Iraq, they were in Afghanistan. So all the shit about, you know, insurgents and not taking me alive, there's a lot of pathos there. IDK I think is badass. Like that Hall Oats to Seven Dust thing, to me, not Ben, is very successful. Shock to the System, this shit with Elon Musk is amazing. This tech billionaire who's gonna fucking become the singularity. At first I was like, what the fuck is this? And then I was like, oh, I see what's happening here. Gone is I think it's the weakest track on here, actually. It's like pushes the poppiness too far. It's not bad, it's just not my favorite. Culture War is just painful because the moment we live in. I thought 8 and 9, I guess I'm like Ben, we're pretty fast and heavy for 12-Foot Ninja, so that was nice. It like sped up a bit at the end there and got us across the finish line in only 34 minutes, and then it was done.
Sure, if you want to add the qualifier for 12-Foot Ninja, I guess I can't really argue that. But I was just meaning in general. Gabe, do you want to go ahead before I like just say what I'm going to say?
Sure. So I liked the opener. I thought it was pretty groovy. The vocal harmony is really nice. I thought that actually Vengeance was the most pop of the tracks and very radio friendly, which was one of the reasons I just didn't like it at all. It was just like, okay, this is like going on some top 40 and then, you know, who cares about it? But IDK is interesting. Like it reminded me of like fucking Thundercat, and Thundercat is awesome, but I would much rather listen to Thundercat than this. Even with the metal at the end, even with the sort of the groove metal at the end of the track, it's clever, but I'm just not here for it. Culture War, I like that track, and I also enjoyed Dead End because they are the most metal of any tracks on the entire record. But that's about it. 9 sounds like a scene from a musical with like talented actors and good singing, but I'm not here for that.
It sounded pretty. I wish they did a little more of that, actually. I think that duet is nice, but I agree. It's musical theater.
It just sounds like musical theater to me. Like in the keypads, man, it's just too much.
I like musical theater a lot, so I was probably like, yeah, I'm an easy mark maybe for that shit. All right, Ben, take your dump. Just take it. None of them. I'm ready to drink.
It is a none of them.
There it is, everyone. There it is.
Yeah. All right.
Not a track on here that I will ever listen to again unless Tracy's driving somewhere and I'm stuck in the car with him.
It's
which is
fine
now. Yeah, I know. So yeah, this was it's well played. The dude's got a decent voice. I mean, they don't sound terrible. They're just not good songs. So, this is what it is.
I'm not even mad. That's amazing. Let's grade this biatch. Tracy. He's dying. His organs have liquefied out of horror and sadness.
They have. I guess I get to go first.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit it with the A-. I'm gonna give it a 92. Yeah, A-.
I'm gonna give it the same grade as Tracy because I'm a follower. No, I think it's legitimately. I don't think it's quite A material, and I like Outlier more, which I would give an A2 now. But I will definitely give this a 92. And I'm not sad about it, even if one of my best friends in the world hates it. which hurts me a tiny bit. But I also didn't write it, so I'm not going to take it personally.
This is a
Yeah.
C trending towards C minus.
Yeah.
There's like a few tracks that I can stand on here, but it's like the more I listen to it, the more I'm just like, why don't I just listen to a record that I like, by another band that's doing
Sure.
some groovy, funky stuff. Sorry.
No, we didn't. Tracy and I didn't actually make this album, so that
Well,
you
that we
know
know
of.
of.
Yeah, exactly.
Me and David have a side project with a few Australians.
It's 11-foot Ninja. It's just like not quite as good as this.
Yeah. It might be better because I mean this is a pretty
Might
low
be.
bar.
It'd be 13-foot ninjas, just be our height added together.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's amazing. I agree with Gabe that there was the stuff on here that I thought was interesting. I would just rather listen to a band that I like who does it better. So for me, this is a D.
Fuck.
Actually,
Damn,
what I
son.
meant was the stuff that I didn't like. I think it was stuff that I like that other bands do better, whose
Okay, well,
job isn't. You know what I mean? Like, but I thought the metal tracks were okay. You know what I mean? It was fine.
So what's our average? Some kind of low B, right? I mean, if you got,
It is a low B. It's
Like
an
an 80?
Yeah,
I
it's
thought
an
so.
80.
I mean, an 80 gets a degree. They're like passing metal school.
Yeah.
80's fine. Especially
Hey,
at
main
Murray
thing-
State. At Murray State, that shit's the same as an 89, y'all.
I have a feeling that somehow that album's going to end up on 2 albums of the year list at the end of the year and nobody else's.
Yeah, I'm gonna have it on there. I love this record. And I know you do too, Tracy, but they obviously do not. So it will not be winning because we put our scores together. So
It may be accurate enough for like a 23 or something.
kick ass. Well, but that's what I love about this show. We don't like the same shit, and I don't.
Yeah, no, totally.
I don't want to record with myself, or I would just record with myself. So
Yeah. Right, exactly.
So
You know, and I think there's stuff on here that other people will like. It's just it didn't work for me, but that's cool
Mhm.
because there's all kinds of stuff that I've had that didn't work for Tracy or other people.
it's true. Anything where they're recording in a swimming pool, I'm like, guys. Speaking of recording in swimming pools, I don't know what the hell are we doing next, Tracy, and why?
Next, we are doing Ben's pick for the month of October in Bloodred Throne's Imperial Congregation.
That name is so epic.
Yeah, that's why I picked it because it had a cool sounding name.
Well, gentlemen, it's always a pleasure.
Caca! Happy almost Halloween. I know by the time this airs, it will already have been Halloween, but
Yep.
It's getting close.
We are.
Well, thanks for joining us on Thunderdown Battle Reviews.